So Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, he now comes into the company of Sayyidina al-Khadr. And he asked Sayyidina al-Khadr alayhi salam, Allah, can I accompany you? I'm here as your student. Remember, we said that Sayyidina Musa is wearing the cloak of who? Were we paying attention? Of who? Who? Humanity. Human. Student coming to a teacher. And Sayyidina al-Khadr, Allah is endowing him with things of the divine. Can I be with you? And Sayyidina al-Khadr knows who Sayyidina Musa is. He says, you won't have patience with me. You cannot handle, Ya Musa, what you're about to experience. And Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, with adab, with beautiful moral characters and etiquette, he says, Satajiduni insha'Allahu sabira. You're going to find me, insha'Allah, patient. وَلَا أَعْصِي لَكَ أَمْرًا. And I won't disobey you on anything you do or tell me to do. And Sayyidina al-Khadr says, fine, but there's a deal we're going to make. Do not ask me about anything. Don't ask the question, why? Don't ask the question, why? And so they go. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposes Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam in this story to 3 challenges. The first one is they get on a boat to go from one land to another. And Sayyidina al-Khadr alayhi salam, he goes to the bottom of the boat. Allah, what was that? Oh, we have to change that if that's how we're telling everyone time is up. Oh boy. It's 4:24. We're praying Salat al-Asr at what time? 4:45. So I'm going to bring this together now, inshallah. Can I have 5 more minutes? Is that okay? We're on this journey together. If you don't want it, we'll stop now. Khalas. And he goes and he pokes a hole in the hull of the boat, making the whole boat take on water and about to sink. Sayyidina Musa is shocked. What are you doing? And Sayyidina al-Khadr tells him, didn't we have an agreement? Sayyidina Musa says, don't take me for what I forgot about. I promise you, I won't ask anything else. And they continue on. Lesson number 1, we'll get into it. Number 2, my brothers and sisters, is something that if you read very often, is something that you may perceive as being very jarring and very difficult. And it was so hard for the heart of Sayyidina Musa to bear. Sayyidina al-Khadr sees a young boy and he kills him. Even for us as readers, we may struggle with this. Why did it have to be like that? Couldn't there be something else? Couldn't there have been another way? And Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, wearing the cloak of a human being, of humanity, he says, what are you doing? You killed a pure young boy who hasn't done anything. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam is sahib sharia, law. And Sayyidina al-Khadr alayhi salam is coming now as sahib haqiqa, treating things based on the realities of what they are. Sayyidina Musa says, this is terrible and disgusting. And Sayyidina al-Khadr says, didn't I tell you that you're not going to be able to handle it? And Sayyidina Musa says, I promised you last time, if I ask you one more time, it's the end of the road between us. And they continue traveling. And they come upon another interesting situation. It was the old habits of the people of that time that when someone unknown to you comes into town, you would take care of them, give them food, and give them a place to eat. And so when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Sayyidina al-Khadr entered into this town. They asked people for shelter and food. The people refused. On top of that, Sayyidina al-Khadr alayhi salam, he sees a wall that's about to fall, and he goes and he fixes it. Now Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, guess what? He forgets. إِذَا نَزَلَ الْقَدَرُ عَمِيَ الْبَصَرُ. When divine destiny and decree comes, eyes are blinded. He says, what are you doing, Ya Khadr? These people, these rude individuals, wouldn't even take care of us, and now you're finishing and you're taking care and you're building this wall for them? Sayyidina al-Khadr alayhi salam, he says, this is the end of the road. Now I'm going to explain to you why all of those actions took place. My brothers and sisters, remember we said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does everything out of rahmah, which means loving mercy. That He subhanahu wa ta'ala does everything out of ilm, all-encompassing knowledge, and that He subhanahu wa ta'ala does everything out of His hikmah, all-encompassing wisdom. He says, Ya Musa, in regards to the boat, a family of poor people owned that boat. And there was a king in the sea, a pirate king in the sea, who was taking people's boats. And this poor family lived off the livelihood of that boat. So I wanted to dig that hole so that that king, that pirate king, doesn't seize that boat and doesn't take away their rizq. Do we understand why it happened? Number two, Ya Musa, in regards to that young boy. And my brothers and sisters, to anyone here who has ever lost a young child, we all pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you patience in that ordeal. It is not something simple to go through. Our Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi lost a child, and he alayhi salam cried out of love of that child, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him something even greater in exchange. And in the case of Sayyidina Musa wal Khadr, Sayyidina al-Khadr says to Sayyidina Musa in response to that young boy that you see, so beautiful, so clean, so innocent, he's going to grow up and he's going to be wretched. And he's going to be so terrible himself that he will push his parents out of faith. So out of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, Allah wanted to exchange him with another child. And as the narrations tell us, the mother of that boy had children that became prophets of Bani Israel. But that wisdom at that time, the hikmah, is it seen? No, it's just right around the corner. He says, as to that wall, he says, it belongs to two orphan children, and their parents were righteous people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His divine mercy, knowledge, and hikmah, wanted to ensure that the treasure that was under that wall belongs to those children, and they get it for those children, and no one else gets it. So that's why I took care of that wall, and I didn't do this out of my own accord. I was ordered to do this by Allah. My brothers and sisters, each one of us in life is going to experience trials, difficulties, and challenges that we may not and cannot fully understand. But if we understand who we are, and we understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and we're patient, and we have iman, and we fill our hearts with the remembrance of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the energy to go through those trials and tribulations and bring us out of it, wallahi, in a better state. Because He's Arhamar Rahimeen.